The Raccoon City Police Department. If you've had any exposure to the Resident Evil series, you've certainly heard of the place and the horrors that took place within. The duty of dealing with this nightmare landed squarely on the shoulders of Leon S. Kennedy, the sole survivor of the world's worst first day on the job. That's not entirely true though, is it? Resident Evil 2 paints Leon as the only officer to make it out of the building alive, but there's always been another cop that scraped by with his life. Well, potentially two, but we don't talk about her very much. That's right, on this first episode of Character Obsessed, we'll be talking about RPD officer Kevin Ryman, the second survivor of the Raccoon City Police Department. Sorry, buddy, you got knocked down one more. Kevin Ryman led a rather simple life before the outbreak. He worked the night shift at the RPD, which was pretty quiet most of the time. According to one of Outbreak's special items, or SP items as they are known, hidden in-game collectibles that offer up lore details, Kevin and Leon were actually good friends. Maybe he convinced Leon to enroll in the academy. Who's to say? Other SP items in both Outbreak games expand further on Kevin's backstory. He's a carefree spirit that lives in the now, an avid baseball fan, and loves cars. In regards to his work, Kevin is a talented police officer. Specifically of note are his marksmanship skills. According to a few more of his SP items, Kevin had the highest accuracy of any member of the Raccoon City Police Force, winning almost every shooting competition that Chief Irons hosted, which was apparently a pretty common event. Yes, he beat everyone else in the RPD. For those of you with a surprised expression on your faces, you are correct. That means that Kevin was a better shot than even Chris Redfield, the STARS Alpha Team marksman himself, and Jill Valentine. So why was the top shooter in the force not with STARS? While he had the skill, Officer Ryman unfortunately also had some anger issues and drinking problems. He applied to be a STARS member several times, and despite his talent, his personal problems held him back, and he was denied each and every time. As you might imagine, this severely damaged his self-esteem and worsened his alcoholic tendencies. It's not all bad though. All of Kevin's co-workers spoke highly of him, due in no small part to his outward-facing personality. He was excellent at engaging with others, if not a little brash. In fact, rumors abound that Mr. Ryman was something of a Raccoon City Casanova. There are hints throughout both games that dance around him having a thing for Cindy Lennox, one of the other playable characters in the Outbreak games. And there's even a more blatant hint that Yoko Suzuki, a young former Umbrella employee and also a playable character, has a small crush on Kevin. Isn't that adorable? Speaking of Kevin's connection with others, Resident Evil Outbreak File Number 2 unearths some even more interesting tales surrounding his relationships with other people. You see, in File Number 2, each playable character has a set relationship value within the AI partner system. This value determines how each AI partner interacts with the player, and we can use this to take an even closer look at the life of Kevin Ryman. Kevin has the highest relationship value towards George and Cindy, while George and Yoko have the highest relationship value towards him. Mark has the lowest value. These are just stats in a game though. What does it actually mean? In essence, it rather hilariously tells the story that he's hot for Cindy, while Yoko is stuck pining for him like Knives Chow in Scott Pilgrim. Conversely, Mark is a straight-laced family man. From there, it's not hard to infer why he wouldn't much like a cavalier officer like Kevin with his devil-may-care attitude. The values between Kevin and George being highest towards each other is curious as well. It indicates a strong friendship. On the surface, there's very little that the two characters have in common. George seems a little depressive, while Kevin is known for being outgoing with his friends and hiding his insecurities. The only real connection between the two is their usual drinking hole, Jay's Bar. It's purely speculation that isn't touched upon in either game, but it's not hard to draw the line between the two as solid drinking buddies. Shame. I'd like to hear more about this little hidden relationship. Finally, we have Kevin's relationship with his fellow officers. While he is one of the few Outbreak characters to not show up in mid-scenario cutscenes in any level, fans have pieced together that his canon scenario is most likely Desperate Times. It's the place where he works, and he has plenty of unique interactions with his fellow officers, as long as you ad-lib near them. Not only that, but there's a special item that only he can pick up in the RPD. Lastly, he gets his own unique ending cutscene when you play him through this specific scenario as well, where he consoles Rita on Marvin getting left behind. We've gotten some background on Kevin and how he connects with others, but there's more to him than that. Now we can dive into the events of the two Outbreak games themselves and examine how Kevin handles this most dire of situations. Kevin could often be found at Jay's bar, usually before his night shift, drinking, smoking, and running up a huge tab that he would never be able to pay off on his officer's salary. Luckily for him, and unluckily for roughly 100,000 people, he would never have to. Nobody ever talks about the positive sides of viral outbreaks, I swear. It's likely that Kevin was at this very bar on that fateful night in September 1998. When you play as other characters in the first game's first scenario, you'll get Kevin as an AI partner almost every time. And not just that, but fellow officer Raymond will enlist the help of you and your allies further on in the level, right after escaping the zombie-infested bar. It makes more sense that this is where Kevin would be, as it's far more likely an officer would ask for help from another officer, rather than just a ragtag group of civilians. To be clear, this is personal speculation. However, you gain a certain observational skill when you're a hardened Outbreak fan that has wandered the Outbreak-less desert for the past 15 years with only 2 games to hang on to. Damn it, Capcom. Anyway, after Jay's bar, Kevin's whereabouts become a little more blurry. Chances are high, however, that he would have hurried back to the police department upon realizing that the city was falling apart. This feeds into the idea that Desperate Times is his canon scenario, but from here things devolve into context clues for his next moves. As for his eventual escape from the nightmare, we know of 2 possibilities. One involves an escape starting at the university with alleged booze pal George, and another takes him through an Umbrella lab with mechanic David, with whom he has no real connection with at all. For my money, I think it makes more sense for him to travel with someone he knows and presumably trusts, leading to his eventual curing of his T-virus infection and escape from the city by helicopter. His helicopter ending here shows him tearing up his most recent application for stars and wondering what he's going to do with the rest of his life now that his main aspiration just got nuked into the stratosphere. Truth be told, it's a real shame that he got denied over and over. I hear the stars did extremely well during their tenure in 1998. How are they all doing anyway? Yeah, terrible shame he got denied. Anyway, it would seem that he was able to pick up the pieces. In file number 2, we get to see Kevin heading towards a new job in sunny Miami. Sounds like our cowboy was able to ride into the sunset pretty successfully. This is where his story ends, since there's been no update on Officer Ryman ever since. Hopefully this is an indication that he lived happily ever after. We'll finish this section off with a little fun trivia. In Outbreak file number 1, Kevin actually has a bad ending, where he and fellow playable character Jim get left behind. Every character has a duo ending like this, but Kevin's is particularly funny, because he has zero relationship with Jim. He's the only one who is stuck with a completely random person rather than someone with whom he has good rapport. It screams of the devs matching up characters and picking the last two for the dodgeball team because that was all they had left. Oops. Now some quick notes about Kevin's gameplay mechanics. Each character in Outbreak is very different from one another, and Kevin definitely has a unique feel. Kevin is a very offensively based character. He's in remarkably good shape for someone who drinks and smokes constantly, sporting the second highest HP stat of the base cast. He's got the fastest running speed, as well as a unique skill to perform a lightning fast kick at anything in front of him. Leaning into his crack shot reputation as well, he also has the ability to get a critical hit with every handgun or magnum shot. All you have to do is hold down the aiming button. If you wait a few moments, you'll see Kevin adjust his aim, and that's when you can let a bullet fly for critical damage. He's one of the easiest characters in the game to pick up and play, with his only real downside being the lack of a dodge or defensive move. It's a small price to pay for a solid character, but some enemies will give him more trouble with their attack patterns. That said, his high HP will mitigate a lot of the frustration. He also sports one of the faster virus gauges, which makes it so if you do happen to get downed with no way to suppress it, you're probably going to die unless someone is right next to you to pick you up. So it is good to be at least a little careful. Finally, in File 2 only, they upgraded his tackle to have a strong Captain Falcon-esque sweet spot that will knock down any zombie instantly, further emphasizing his strong physical capabilities. And that is that. Time has come to close the book on RPD Officer Kevin Ryman. I hope we get to see him sometime in the future, but for now, this is the end of his story. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the first episode of Character Obsessed. I started with a Resident Evil character, but we're going to expand far beyond that with time. I'm using characters I know well to get a handle on this format, so I'll be touching on other Outbreak characters first. After that, I'm going to branch out. If you have a character you'd like me to visit, please feel free to leave a comment, or if you have any criticisms, I'm happy to take that as well. Thanks for watching, and I hope you look forward to the next chapter of this series. Ta-ta!
And so the town was gone. Just like that. In a quick, empty flash of light. Maybe I'm getting old, but I really don't remember what I was feeling when I saw the town go up in flames. Then again, it's not like I forgot what happened. It's just that I'm the type of guy who focuses on the now, not ancient history.